Skirt, skirt. Told you we always been ready. I don't need people that's petty, that weigh on me heavy while I'm being steady. I need a record with Felly. We get it bouncing like Betty's, I feel like I'm Nelly. Don't bring the beef like a deli. It's leave on that levy, no sleeping on me like I'm Freddy. Chris Breeze, how I do, hit him with the moves. Left hand step back, ballin' like I'm Coos. All faith, God's plan, you just gotta choose. Got slaps, nothing left to prove. Y'all gotta leave me alone. Lately I've been in my zone. Told them no cap like I fitted, but lately the flows have been straight off the dome. I feel like I'm MVP, like my name Patty Mahomes. If it ain't about money, don't hit up my phone, cause lately I've been in my zone.
Hello, welcome to the Cowboy Show, hosted by Ben Carey and Nick Gronerad, combining expert human opinions with cutting-edge simulation models to help you arrive at the best picks each week. Inside Edge Community. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Here we go. What's going on, everyone, and welcome to tonight's stream. We've got Thursday night football action between the New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons. And, of course, what is the one big thing about this game, Ben? That is the revenge narrative.
28-3.
So, do you think we're going to see 28-3 in this game at any point?
An exacto score?
Do you think you could bet on that? Like some offshore book will allow you to place a bet on, like, will the score in this game be 28-3 at any point?
Sometimes Bovada has some very off-the-wall type of fun props. So who knows? Will the score be 28-3 at some point in the game?
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing that. I mean, I think that's just about as degenerate of a bet as you can get.
Like you would need over 100 to 1.
Oh, like, you'd need like 10,000-15,000 to 1.
See, that's what I hate though, because they would never offer that. They would offer something silly like 50 to 1.
So you can make a single game parlay to give yourself what is in effect an exact bet score.
Yeah.
And those depending on whether or not you're like right on key numbers or your off key numbers will be anywhere from like 10,000 to 25,000 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're looking at the like, will it be this at any time? Maybe 4,000 or 5,000 to 1, something like that. But
I'd be curious to see what it actually is.
Yeah, I'd be curious too. So
but how many times are they going to mention that? Over under 5.5?
Yeah, you could probably bet on that too. It's like in the Super Bowl. How many times are they going to say blah, 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 blah? Like, how many times are the announcers going to say 28-3?
They're going to mention the Super Bowl so many times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that they are. So one thing that I think is worth thinking about here in regards to this 28-3 Super Bowl revenge game narrative is how many players on these teams actually played in that game.
Not many for the Falcons, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think not that many for the Patriots either.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Matt Ryan obviously was the Falcons quarterback in that game, but I can't think of really a single piece on this offense, aside from him, that played in the game. I really should have looked this up ahead of time. I thought of it like 5 minutes ago, and just didn't get around to it. And then on the Patriots side, I mean, Tom Brady's not on the team anymore. The running backs, like maybe Bolden was on the team back then. But
yeah, because White's gone. Of course, Brady's gone. The receivers, I mean, Matt Ryan, he's not gone.
No, he's not. Matt Ryan is very much still there, for better or for worse at this point.
Yeah.
So lines in this game. Well, actually, I'm going to say hi to the chat first. So we got Skrillikilla says tonight's game is all over the place. Yeah, there's like tons and tons of skill position players on both teams who were truly questionable coming into this game. We'll run through the injury report in a second. We do finally have some official news on all that stuff. You said your strongest lean is under. Model likes the under here, which we'll also get to in a second. Guy on Discord hit a plus 5,000 during the World Series. Yeah, I mean, Kyle in our Discord, I know he hit his plus 3,000 Robbie Ray Cy Young bet at some point during the year.
Yeah, that was a great bet.
Yes, it was.
Great bet.
And Baudia, let me know if I'm saying that wrong. First time chat. Thank you for checking out the stream. And also thank you for dropping the follow a few minutes before we started.
Yeah, thanks, man.
It says, my book moved it to 6.5, but it will still take the Falcons to cover. Yeah, so the line moves here are interesting. This has been kind of bouncing around between 7, 6.5, 6 during the week. And even within the last few minutes, it looks like, at least on the different books that we're going to shop around at, like it stabilized at 7. So I'm showing here on PointsBet, we have Falcons +7, Patriots -7, and a total of 47. Here on Superbook, same deal. DraftKings, let me scroll down for a little bit. So we're showing a spread of 7 again here, over under 47.5. So they're maybe trying to bait some unders. And then on FanDuel, again, 7 and 47. So it looks like we're stabilizing here at this 7 and the oh man, my voice just went 7 and 47.
I'm personally a little surprised that it went back up to 7. But
yeah, I am too. So there's been some different books that have been holding the 7 for the entire week. I think different books are happy to take either action on the Patriots at -7 instead of, or at the Falcons at +7 instead of 6.5 to get that action, and then other books are happier to take a little more action on the Patriots.
yeah. So 7 it is, but it is a little juiced to the Falcons, but that may just be PointsBet, right?
Yeah, I think that's just PointsBet. I'm showing Superbook, DraftKings are both -110 each way. FanDuel is also juiced a little bit towards the Falcons, though. Skrilla says, I feel like the 6.5 usually covers. I can go check that after this, at some point after the stream. I have data on every game's spread and score and stuff.
Is he saying +6.5?
Yeah, +6.5.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. And Nick, do you remember before the season started, I was talking about the I think it was 2.5 or maybe it was 3.5, -3.5. It was one of those two that end up covering quite a bit. It was either the -3.5 or the +2.5.
I think there was like a +3.5 was covering out the wazoo the first couple weeks of the season at least.
Yeah, the first part of the season, but I think traditionally +3.5s don't cover as much. It's kind of counterintuitive, but I think it's the way we sometimes just, I don't want to say we overvalue key numbers. That's not the right word, but I don't know where I'm going exactly with that.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. There might not even be a reason for it. It might just be random chance.
I'll put it this way: psychologically, if we see a 6.5 or a 7.5, most people, if they didn't put any prior research in, they're not going to bet a -7.5. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Jack says Falcons money line. Maybe. Baudia says only 5 Falcons still on the roster from that game. Thank you for doing the research for us.
I would love to hear who they are. Matt Ryan's one of them.
Matt Ryan's definitely one of them.
The defense is pretty much all different too, so I'm not sure. Maybe some linemen, but yeah, if you know,
or maybe some specialists.
Yeah, the punter.
Although Koo is new.
Not Young Ho.
Flip says parlay of the day: Pats -2.5, Jones under 250, Harris over 49, and then the game under 47.5.
And I'll share my same game parlay at the end, and I did it because it was risk free. So
yeah, we're very anti parlay unless they're risk free, in which case I'm very pro parlay. I'm pro
even
anything that's risk free.
I had to think about it. Still risk free, different than a free bet.
Yeah, that's true.
But there's levels, right? Free bet, risk free, boost, regular.
Yeah,
we should make
like that.
a hierarchy of like the different types of promos.
Skrilla says Rams was 3.5 and got crushed. Yeah, that's true. Asim says loving +7. Seen it several times where it's a letdown spot right after a big win. Tom says join me on my OnlyFans. If you want to link your OnlyFans in the chat, Tom, go ahead.
They're always like Link in bio for exclusive
this
content.
This is the second time you've mentioned OnlyFans today. We were talking about, who was it? The girl who used to date Trace Jackson Davis, and you were like, "Can we get her on the Capwise OnlyFans?"
That's funny that he says, "Be the boost below regular." That's actually a very good point.
Nick, depending on how into conspiracies you are.
Yeah, but Nick, as far as this one goes, Matt Ryan, the Falcons in Dallas got what's a good word to describe what happened?
Embarrassed.
Yeah, I was gonna say
or
annihilated.
like demolished, obliterated.
Yeah.
Just
Annihilated.
like words that you see if they have like some Call of Duty knockoff mobile game.
Wasted.
Obliterate the opposition. Annihilate your enemies.
They were taken to the back, and yeah. Oh, by the way, Matty Ice, Grady Jarrett, Deion Jones, Jake Matthews, Josh Harris. Interesting. So, Nick, I actually like the short week for the Falcons based off what happened, because I think when you have a game like that where it was over by halftime, like, let's be real, I think it was 35-7.
Yeah, it was ugly.
Yeah, you already know the game's over, and I almost think that is the start of your next week. And I know it sounds silly, but now it's 6.5. Funny how that happens. Oh, back to 7. Are you watching this? It's
No,
like stock trading.
Was it?
Yeah, it went back to 6.5. But maybe that usually it wouldn't just go 6.5, 7 like that. Like,
yeah, it might be a little glitch or something.
They would control that move. But anyways, I like the spot for the Falcons, Nick. I liked it before I saw the model score. The Patriots are they're a good team. We've talked about Mack Jones. They have a great coach. But Matt Ryan is back at home in a primetime spot on a short week, which I mentioned actually benefits them in the spot. I lean Falcons. I do.
And yeah, I'm completely with you here. I like the Falcons as well, and I think that getting this at 7 instead of 6.5 feels like a bit of a coup. It feels like a nice get. So the model, which we should all at this point know, at least don't pick against the model, has the Falcons covering this. We have 24.77 to 21.81 for the Patriots. So we have a Patriots win, but Falcons keeping it to around a 3-point game. So I'm going to go ahead and throw up the Atlanta Falcons, if I can figure out how to type, as our lean for this game. As far as the total is concerned, I don't really have any thoughts. The model's total is between 46.5 and 47. So really nothing there as far as any kind of edge that the model sees relative to the line that Vegas is putting out. I kind of think that I lean under, but not something I'm going to have any action on in any way, shape, or form is the total in this game. I mean, I could really see this being a game that finishes in the 20s or 30s, like low 30s, and I could also see this being a game that was 60 plus.
I lean under, Nick, but the main reason why is because I put it in my same game parlay for correlation purposes, and it helped boost my odds. So I'll get into that when we cover that, but I don't want to put it up for this. Yeah,
we're gonna stick with the Falcons as a lean. And Ben, we're actually, as far as the model score is concerned, so just the total and the side, we're 6-0 in the last 3 primetime streams.
Nice.
With that.
Someone asked, what do you boys think about the stat 41, 17, and 1 on games that one team covered and the other didn't? Are they saying when these two a team's coming off a non-cover and a team's coming off a cover?
Yeah, then the team that didn't cover the week before is 41, 17, and 1 against the spread the following week.
I'm not surprised to see that. I'll put it that way because it's basically saying that the market is overvaluing the team coming off the win. Like, let's put it this way. Patriots lost last week and Falcons won. This spread's closer to 4.5. Maybe 5.
Yeah.
I'd say 5.
And I mean, it's people. The sports bettors are goldfish, right? We have really, or a lot of them. A lot of people have really short memories. You think of what happened last week, and the Patriots are hot, the Cowboys are terrible. That's just the way it is. Did I just say the Cowboys? I mean, the Cowboys are terrible too, right, Larry? But the Falcons are terrible. The Cowboys are not terrible. They're made the Falcons look terrible.
Yeah.
But that's where I think that's why that trend exists. I think it's just because it causes changes in lines as opposed to anything that the teams themselves are actually doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thought.
Yeah.
So also going back, Fiora says, first time chat, sell me on teasing the Falcons. Sell me on teasing Falcons balls with the +7.
Falcons balls? What does that mean?
I don't know.
Well, I wouldn't tease anything here because +13 just doesn't look appealing to me. Like, I guess you cross 10, but nah, I don't like that. I wouldn't tease that.
Yeah, I don't want to overthink this. I think just the +7.
Oh, that's a good point. Look ahead line was 3.5.
Yeah. So there are a couple injuries that are potentially impacting this line. And we'll touch on those when we get to the player props, but I don't think that there's really much that... I mean, it's certainly not 3.5 points worth of injuries.
Yeah, we will talk about Patterson because that's interesting, but we'll get to that. And I think, I'm ready to hop on into the quarterback props, Nick.
All right. Give me 1 second. Just reading everything else, making sure there's nothing that we're at least not going to touch on later. Chat is active today. Appreciate all that.
And Patterson is out. That is confirmed.
Yeah. So I guess before we hop into the prop market, let's just do a quick run through of the injuries. I guess I'm not seeing a Patriots. Oh yeah, here we go. So Jonnu Smith is in. Brandon Bolden is in. Damian Harris is in. So it looks like everybody who was questionable for the Pats is playing. On the Falcons side, Cordero Patterson was the big question mark, and he is out. Hayden Hurst is also out for the Falcons. That's their number 2 tight end.
Okay.
All right. Also, give me 1 second. I'm going to get up. I need to get some water. My voice is coming in and out. I'll be back in 2 seconds. But Ben, you start out these quarterback props.
Yeah, and in case anyone was wondering, Jared Stidham, he's also out too. But
oh no,
oh no,
oh no.
Okay, so let's start with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, I'm showing his number, passing yards, 253.5. So this is an interesting number to kind of go off of because last week we saw what happened. I don't know if he played let's see. I think he played half of the third quarter, but after that he was out of there, and I think they put Rosen in. So last week Matt Ryan only had, let's see here, pulling it up. Matt Ryan had, geez, my Google is all screwed up.
What are you looking at for Matt Ryan?
I'm trying to find, Nick, when you type in Google stats, have you noticed that everything's out of order, or is that just my Google?
What is Google stats?
You type in Matt Ryan stats.
Oh, I just go to Pro Football Reference.
I know, but when I'm trying to do it quickly, Cowboys is literally out of order. That makes no sense. Anyways, he had 117 passing yards. So, I mean, that's very interesting. Obviously, that was because he didn't play most of the game, but now it's at 252. I lean over Nick. I think he's going to go well over this. I think this number should be closer to 260.5 or 265, somewhere in that range. Yeah. I think this is a very good opportunity to play an over here for Matt Ryan.
I'm on board with that. I like this Matt Ryan over as well. And I think it's pretty correlated actually with our liking of the Falcons to cover here. So what I think is really interesting is Matt Ryan's numbers in wins versus losses. So in the games that the Falcons have won, this is week 3 against the Giants, Matt Ryan threw for 243, which isn't a whole lot. But then 342 against the win against the Jets, 336 against the Dolphins, 343 in the win against New Orleans. Only broke 300 once. Only broke 250 twice in all the losses, and under 200 in 3 of their losses out of 5 total. So the Falcons really go as Matt Ryan goes. I think that if the Falcons are going to win or at least play this close, Matt Ryan has to have a good game. And I do think that the Falcons are going to be close, so I like this Matt Ryan over, just like you do.
Mm-hmm. I like it too. I think it's a good spot for him. Look, he's playing at home. We all know that, though, but I just think that the situational spot here for the Falcons and Matt Ryan, I think they feel good. And also, I'm confident enough that they've developed a game plan without Cordell Patterson, even though it's a late scratch. But they could have known this already going into it, saying like, hey, we're expecting him not to play versus, hey, Matt, like, I know you're warming up. Patterson's out. I don't think that was so much the case. Or even if it was, they already had the game plan developed for him to be out.
Yeah, they had to have been operating under the assumption that Patterson was going to be out.
Mm-hmm.
So what about Mack Jones? So Mack Jones, I'm showing on DraftKings at least, sitting at 253.5. I think you might get a couple yards less at some other books. But do you have any thoughts on Mack Jones?
I don't. I really don't.
Yeah, I think the Mack Jones is a little interesting. I actually think that I lean over for him as well. So the Falcons' passing defense against quarterbacks, they're averaging around 256 passing yards per game allowed. But there's been a couple outliers on the really low end. So the Jets, Zach Wilson, 192, and then the Panthers, Sam Darnold had 129. If you take those 2 games out, and we can all agree, at least I think we can agree that Mack Jones at this point in time is a better passer than either of those guys. Every other quarterback has gone over this number against the Falcons. Win or lose. Close game, blowout, they've all gone over this number. So I think just from that perspective, the over has to be the lean that I have on this Mack Jones passing prop. I don't think that there's like a bell cow that the Patriots are going to be able to give the ball to. I think that Mack Jones is going to be a pretty sizable chunk of the offense tonight.
Yeah. Nick, Mack Jones has passed for 0 yards on Thursday night in his career. Actually, I would have to go back to make sure he didn't play a Thursday night game at Alabama.
You know, he's also thrown for 0 yards in his entire career playing in a dome. At least professionally.
Yeah.
It's a trend. It has to be true.
You ever notice how like teams like Alabama never play on Fridays or Thursdays? They're so spoiled out there in the SEC.
TV deal, what? You're Northern Colorado, you play on like Tuesday morning or something?
Yeah, Maction. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I'm staying away from this Mack Jones prop. Part of me is a little worried just from the standpoint, like, let's say the Patriots just come out and boat race them and then they run the ball in the second half. But I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't love it enough to play the over. So, and I'm not playing under.
Sounds fair to me. So let's take a look at rushing props. And also, just as a quick clarification / reminder, the model sim scores that we have and all of these props, these are taking into account that Cordell Patterson is out. Kind of just in case I reran the sims without Patterson. And this is the results of all that. So on the rushing side of things, it's a mess, I think is an appropriate word to.
But Larry, teams in the Pac-12 and other conferences, they play on Fridays. What makes the SEC that much better? I don't see the point you're trying to make there.
SEC has a really cool TV deal with CBS.
Yeah, but he's arguing a whole different point. High school is huge. Well, so
College, yeah. I mean, it all comes down to what's going to get the most eyes on the television.
money. Yeah.
All right. Rushing props. Is there a team that you'd like to start with, Ben?
I will start with. Let's start with the Patriots.
All right. So on the side of the Patriots, we have Damian Harris over under 55.5. Mack Jones over under 4.5. Ramondre Stevenson over under 37.5. So the first thing that I think we have to talk about is just who's going to get how many of the carries on the side of the Patriots. So we had Ramondre Stevenson carrying the load, saving my ass in fantasy last week with Damian Harris out. But now Damian Harris is back. And before Damian Harris was out, Damian Harris was the guy. So is it going to be Harris? Is it going to be Stevenson? Is it going to be a little bit of both? What do you think, Ben?
I think it's going to be Stevenson.
And why is that?
Twitter. Sort of.
I saw it on Twitter. It had to be true.
Yeah. No, there was a beat writer who. Again, you're asking me, so I'm gonna give you an answer. Let's see. Christopher Price, who covers the New England Patriots for the Boston Globe, was asked about Stevenson's projected total touches, and he said 10 to 15.
10 to 15.
So I don't know if that necessarily makes him the guy, but if we're looking at these numbers, Nick, that's the play. Based on it, let's say this Christopher Price guy is telling the truth.
Yeah.
Because that would be pretty split, right? I mean, if he gets 12 touches, Harris, I guess 13-ish. I mean, if we're talking about a split.
We can look at this a little bit. So there's been, before Harris was injured, so not including the Week 9 game where Harris went out early, there have actually been two other games where Ramondre Stevenson has had 10-plus touches. Mm-hmm. Two other games, if we're not using Week 9. That's Week 8 against the Chargers, where he had 8 carries and 2 targets, only 1 catch. And then Week 5, where he had 11 carries. In those games, Harris, 14 carries and 14 carries. Mm-hmm. No, sorry, 14 carries and 23 carries. So I think we're still looking in that 15 to 20 range for Harris. Also worth noting that those are both close Patriot wins, those games. So they are really making a point of running the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So if Stevenson gets 10 carries, do you think that this over 37.5 hits?
Yes, yeah, I do.
Are you going to bet on this over 37.5?
That's a good question. I'm sounding pretty confident because of what I saw on Twitter. That's always like a bad way to start a bet.
I saw it.
It on Twitter. Actually, no, I'm not going to bet it, but it's my lean.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think we need to kind of wait and see exactly what happens here. Mm-hmm. What were Stevenson's yards in those games? 23 and 62. No, 23 and 26, respectively. So both unders. Also, his 2 worst games of the year, yards per carry wise.
Mm-hmm. What's he averaging out this year?
He is averaging 4.3 yards per carry.
Okay.
On the Falcons side, we have a similar situation where a guy responsible for a lot of touches is out, as opposed to a guy is coming back. Yeah, Big Germ, we can start. Jared Sutton's out. Cordell Patterson's out. Yeah. Welcome, everyone. No. Yeah, so we have Mike Davis, 40.5. Wayne Gallman, 28.5. Anything here, Ben?
So try to read my mind what I think about Mike Davis.
You think that Mike Davis is not a very good running back. His carries have gone down over the course of the year. But part of that was due to Cordero Patterson.
Yes. But what do I lean, though, on his number?
For Davis, I think you lean over.
Nope, I lean under.
You lean under for Mike Davis. And why is that?
I just think that they're going to look to air the ball out today. I really do, tonight. I think that number 40 is a little high, and I don't think Mike Davis is going to have 10 carries today.
Interesting.
Bold, but yeah.
Yeah, so on Davis's carries, I think this is a really interesting point here. Also, let me swap this. There we go. So weeks 1 through 5 this season, Davis had 15, 9, 12, 13, and 13 carries. And then in their last 4 games, 4, 9, 9, and 4. And again, quite correlated with an uptick for Cordero Patterson. So I think just because of that, Davis has to see a little extra volume this week. Is he going to be like 15 to 20 carries? Doubtful. But I think in that 10 to 12 range. And
we have to look at Gallman too.
Yeah, so Gallman is interesting. So Gallman came in, he had barely played all year. And then last week suddenly had 15 carries for 55 yards. So I don't quite know what to make of that. So there's part of me that thinks, and also I believe, I want to make sure that I'm right about this, that Patterson got hurt kind of during that game last week. So I think that they kind of had stuff game planned for Davis and left his game plan more or less as it was, and then just put Gallman in the Patterson role. So I don't think Gallman's going to see 15 carries again. In fact, I'd be surprised if Gallman out-carries Davis.
Okay, but what is his number at for carries? Gallman.
Gallman's carry prop is at... There isn't one. At least on DraftKings.
I would set that around like 6.5, 7.5, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable.
So I guess my point is if he goes for 8 carries, I don't think Mike Davis hits his number. Unless the Falcons are up big and they're just running the ball. So again, this is why I lean under with Mike Davis. I'm not betting that, but I just don't want people to rush to bet Mike Davis because Patterson's out. That's more or less what I'm getting at.
Yeah, so I think that I kind of actually like this Davis over just a little bit. I think I'd put him right around where the model has him, like 13 carries, 50 yards, that type of deal. Patriots actually do allow 4.3 yards per carry to backs. So I think that there is going to be a little bit of success on the ground for the Falcons, but not a whole lot. And Big Drum, you do make an excellent point here. Is the only problem with Davis getting more carries is that he still sucks.
Yeah.
I'll ultimately say that I'm kind of with Ben here, though, that I think that the passing game is the route to success for the Falcons in this game.
Yep.
So speaking of the passing
Nick,
game,
I got some juicy stuff coming up here.
Oh, do you? How juicy is it? Describe to me how juicy it is.
Like a Georgia peach.
Juicy like a Georgia peach. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to start with the Patriots or with the Falcons for receiving props?
Falcons.
Falcons. Is this where the juice is?
Yeah, we got some juice here. Okay.
So on the side of the Falcons, we've got Kyle Pitts over under 63.5. Lee Smith stepping in for Hayden Hurst over under 8.5. Mike Davis 21.5. Olamide Zaccheaus 36.5. Russell Gage, 43.5. Taji Sharp, 27.5. Wayne Gallman, 10.5.
Okay, here comes some juice.
What's the juice?
So, some of the most bet NFL player props via DraftKings for tonight. One of them, Kyle Pitts under 4.5 receptions. And we were discussing this 2 days ago. Maybe it was yesterday. Sometimes the week's a blur. I said, man, isn't it funny how quick the narrative changes, right? Kyle Pitts.
We're goldfish.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts, his under 4.5 is the most popular bet of the night. Like, what? Are we living in a simulation?
Yes.
So, hey, if you want to be on that side, that's fine. But before I saw any of the stuff, I was telling Nick, I was like, hey, I think Kyle Pitts is going to have a pretty good night. And now I'm seeing this. Obviously, it's correlated to his passing yards. I know it was 61, 60.5. I like this over. I think he's going to get 6-7 catches tonight. They're going to force feed him the ball. This is the only way they can win tonight against the Patriots. It's going to be very similar to what we saw with Travis Kelce against the Raiders. They were forcing him the ball to the point where I think he had, 12, 13 targets. I think Pitts gets over 10 targets tonight. I like his over. I like his over receptions. I feel better now. Yeah, people think Belichick's going to take Pitts away. That's the narrative.
I mean, Belichick runs a 4-3 and he's 6'5". I think he can handle him in man.
Belichick's lining up tonight.
Yeah, put me in, coach.
Yeah,
says coach.
It comes down to this. It's not so much what the Patriots do, unless they like literally double team him. But you're going to see the Falcons force the ball to him on third down.
Yeah, so
It's going to happen.
I will say, I don't think it's out of the question that the Patriots game plan like that. So the Patriots are extremely good against tight ends. The average tight end, or the average team, their tight ends, not just the average tight end. 2.9 catches for 29.5 yards.
Who?
Against the Patriots. Mike Gesicki. No catches on no targets.
Okay.
They played the Jets twice. Jets don't really use the tight ends. Buccaneers. Cameron Brate, 2 catches for 29 targets. Nothing for Howard. I think Gronk was out at that point. The Cowboys. Dalton Schultz did have 5 for 79. That's the only guy who's gone over this number. Against them, Blake Jarwin, 1 for 1. Chargers tight ends, 2 catches for 25 yards. Panthers, who, I mean, not like stud tight ends, but will use the tight ends, 2 catches for 15 yards. And then last week, the 3 guys on the Browns combined 7 for 54, but no individual had more than 4 for 25.
Fair. Here's how I kind of look at Pitts. He's lining up not inside the box. He's lining up in the slot, and they line him up sometimes as a receiver, like way out. I think with Matt Ryan, I know what people are saying, like they're going to focus on shutting down Pitts, but I think Matt Ryan is good enough of a quarterback where if you try to do that against him, he's going to find the spots where to throw the ball. So I don't think you can just take him out of the game like maybe the public is thinking why they're playing his under.
Yeah, so I think what's kind of scary in that regard is that's what the Cowboys did last week. They put their best corner on Kyle Pitts. They had Diggs on Pitts the whole game.
But are we gonna take the Cowboys game and say that that's any sort of representation of what we expect today?
I mean, I think that it shows that that's a. I mean, so they played that way, and the Falcons scored 3 points in the whole game.
Well, Pitts had 4 catches for 60 yards in last game. So,
but I mean, still, I mean, it's a team thing. If Pitts isn't getting huge chunk plays or moving the chains all the time, the Falcons are going to struggle. So I think that it does show that that's an effective way to shut down the Falcons as a team. I mean, if Pitts is going to get so much attention and so much volume, he's going to get some sort of numbers. Mm-hmm. But it is the most tried and tested way to stop Kyle Pitts and therefore stop the Falcons offense. Because Kyle Pitts kind of is the Falcons offense at this point.
Yeah.
And
Anyways.
yeah, Larry says it was like all in the first quarter. And then they put Diggs on him and then it stopped.
Yeah, but did he play the second half much? I mean,
he had 61% snaps. Pitts did.
Yeah, so I think we're kind of picking and choosing, right? Like, I know Diggs played well. I mean, Tim Patrick made Diggs look like a shovel. I mean, does that make... Anyways, so I think we're kind of picking and choosing. I know Diggs' body of work has been pretty good, but if we're just going to pinpoint one quarter and say that you can shut down Pitts, I don't think that's fair to say.
Okay,
that's what I'm getting
well,
at.
We'll see. I'm very interested to see how the Patriots play this.
Yeah.
I think Pitts has such a crazy wide variation in his stats today.
So, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and you'll know where to find me. So, I'll be back here on Sunday, and you can be like, "You're an idiot." That's the sound clip we need from the Grinch, Nick.
Is it? I didn't know we needed a sound clip from the Grinch.
I'm an idiot.
I'm an idiot.
You're an idiot. I mean, holidays are coming up. You know, we got to be a little festive.
True.
No. Yeah. So.
All right. So anybody else on the Falcons? Because it can't be all Kyle Pitts. I mean, it's not going to be Pitts takes Matt Ryan's passing number over. There's got to be something somewhere. And A Park, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that.
Got to put my hydraulic boosters up on my chair. Falling down a little bit.
Didn't even know you had a chair.
Yep. I was looking at some of these other numbers, and nothing really popped off to me because they have a few guys who I think can go well over their number. Like Gage. Gage is the one I want to talk about. But at the same time, it's tough. I know I like Matt Ryan's over, so there's got to be another one of these guys who goes over, but I'm having a difficult time like pinpointing who that would be.
Yeah, so there's a couple other Falcons receiving props that I like. And also, A-Park says, do you have any college basketball games you like tonight? We can give that a pick in a bit. Because I do have some college basketball that I like.
I know which one we should give out.
Which one should we give out, Ben?
It has to do with a rancher and a type of animal that people domesticated playing against each other. Evolved with, and there's a 2-3 zone.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, so that would be the Wyoming money line against Washington.
Just want to talk in code, you know. I didn't want you to be like, "Oh no, don't give that one out."
No, I think that's a good one. I like that. So I like Mike Davis receiving yards over.
Okay.
So this is sitting at 21.5 right now. Mike Davis has been pretty involved in the receiving game. Again, with the emergence of Patterson the last few weeks, it's kind of died off. But weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4, he had 23, 25, 20, and 12 yards through the air in those games. I mean, obviously the 12 is under. But he did have 5 targets and only 2 catches in that game, so he was still getting looks. And then also in week 8, randomly, he had 5 catches for 22 yards as well. But I think that he's a guy who's going to be on the field in some capacity and is a good option to step up in the passing game. So, I mean, this 21.5 is a number that he's eclipsed several times. And also the Patriots do allow a lot of receiving yards to running backs, averaging almost 7 catches on 8.5 targets for 65 yards allowed through the air to running backs on the year the Patriots are. They've allowed 58 or more 5 games in a row. They've allowed 45 or more 7 games in a row. So there's gonna be somebody. I mean, it could be Gallman too, but I think that
what
Davis,
is his number at?
Gallman's at 10.5. But I think that Davis is kind of just the more proven threat in the receiving game. There's numbers to back it up, and even if it is like a 50-50 split, I still think that, I mean, Davis has shown with 50% snaps or 60% snaps that he can go over this number. And against a defense that that likes to, or is comfortable allowing. I shouldn't say they like it. Like, yeah, let's give up a lot of yards. But that is comfortable allowing teams to check down to the back.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Davis is a good look. The other one that I'm thinking about is actually an under, and that's on Lee Smith. This is one of those, like, one catch will ruin it. But Lee Smith is the number 2 tight end behind Kyle Pitts today, because Hayden Hurst has been placed on injured reserve. We just talked about how stingy the Pats are against tight ends. And the Falcons, in recent weeks, with Hayden Hurst playing, have really kind of phased him out of the offense. Let me pull up the exact numbers, but I mean, Hurst had no catches last week and 2 catches each of the 2 weeks before that. And he's a guy who is actually capable of catching the ball. Lee Smith is like an old blocking tight end.
Lee Smith's stat line for one of his games at the Giants was 3 catches for 7 yards and a touchdown. It's an under.
Yeah, I mean, he's huge. He's like a very respectable red zone target, but that doesn't pile up a ton of yards. And I think aside from that, he's just not really going to be involved all that much.
Mm-hmm.
It's a risky play, but I do think that this under 8.5 is worth considering here.
I think it's a good play. He's going to get maybe, let's say 10, 15 snaps, but how many of those are routes, and then how many of those is he even the top 2 targets, right?
Yeah, rarely.
And if he is, it could be at the goal line, but that's a 5-yard catch maybe. So,
All right. So we spent a lot of time talking about the Falcons. I think they are the more interesting team, just because of Cordell Patterson being out. There's room for other guys to step up, but let's spend some time and talk about the New England Patriots receiving options. So we've got Brandon Bolden, over under 13.5, Hunter Henry, 32.5, Jacoby Myers, who finally scored his first career touchdown last week, 52.5, Jonnu Smith, 16.5, Kendrick Bourne, 35.5, and N'Keal Harry, 12.5, and Nelson Aguilar, 34.5, Ramondre Stevenson, 13.5. Lot of dudes.
let's talk about the tight ends first, Nick.
All right.
Why does Jonnu Smith's number seem so low?
Because he was questionable coming into the game with a hamstring injury or something.
Yeah, I guess
So I
shouldn't
think
risk
that there's like legitimate snap count concerns / re-injury concerns for him.
Okay. Hunter Henry, though.
Yeah, I think that Hunter Henry is a potentially good look here. So his number is at 32.5, nothing crazy. So what do you think about Hunter Henry?
No strong opinion there. 4 catches for 37 last game, 2 touchdowns. Yardage wise, I mean, I think the number's where it should be.
Yeah, I mean, I think it seems pretty reasonable. The Falcons are allowing on average 4.78 catches for like 50 yards to tight ends on the year, although that includes them getting absolutely shredded by the Dolphins, which was like 14 catches for 145 yards. So aside from that, probably more in the 40-yard range on more like 4 catches a game. So from that perspective, a little scary. But I do think that Hunter Henry is fairly consistent, fairly reliable. And I do think that with Jonnu Smith nursing a shoulder injury is what it is, that he could be in line for some more targets. So I think the over could be a lean there. Big Jim says, everyone seems to be big on Bourne tonight. Why is that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Why is that?
Is this just like a Twitter thing where one person will say, I like Kendrick Bourne over, and then everyone's like, oh, he likes Bourne over, I like Bourne over.
Nick, do you remember the last time we
I
saw
like
that?
Bourne over.
It was that Latavius Murray, right?
Yeah.
Wait. Is that right? Yeah, it was.
I
It was
know
the
what you're
first
talking
game.
about. Yeah.
It was the first game of the Ravens season.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's like, oh,
yeah.
15, whatever the number was, like it spread. Like my neighbors were talking about it. I think your parents bet it.
Yeah,
It was
my
insane.
dog was barking about it.
Yeah, and of course it didn't hit, and it literally spread because there were a few big people on Twitter who were like, "Oh my gosh, like this can't lose. How does this lose?" It was a lock,
By
right?
it losing.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. So, I don't know if this Bourne play is at the level of this, but
Is this like a Jason Bourne level play?
that's wait. I was about to say source code, but is he in that one?
I mean, Jason
Maybe.
Bourne's a movie character.
Oh, I'm thinking of
But yeah, the guy who
Matt Damon.
yeah, the guy who plays Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have put some like Jason Bourne clips on the soundboard for today.
Yeah.
Completely neglected to do that.
I don't like it though. So I'm not going to bet the under, but I don't get the love affair with this over.
Yeah, I'm like,
35 is a number I guess people are like, well, but
Yeah, I will say the model has him at 47.
what does it have Jonnu Smith at? I know he's banged up though, but
27. It's the one right below Stevenson here.
lock of the day, Grizzlies money line from the chat. It's probably an RIP Young Dolph type of play.
Could be. I
Game
heard.
in Memphis.
Yeah, I was seeing other people talking about Memphis also.
Yeah, but I also feel weird if that's your main handicap. Like,
Yeah.
it's like,
How many players on the Grizzlies are actually from Memphis?
I know John Morant was actually like tight with him, but Young Dolph did perform like the playoff before a playoff game one time there. So we'll see what happens. It'll be emotional. I think the game just started actually. So anything else with these receivers, Nick?
No, I hate the Patriots because they don't really have like a proper number one receiver.
Yeah, it's
There's
so
just
hard to gauge.
A lot of different guys who can be the number one target guy on any given day. Mm-hmm. So I'm staying away. Do you want to take a look at touchdown props? Our favorite.
Yeah, I'm actually very curious to see what Mike Davis is at.
So Mike Davis plus 180. Anytime touchdown scorer.
God, that's not even that good.
It's fine.
I know, but I was hoping that maybe there was a little value with Patterson being out, but maybe there was at some point.
Yeah, maybe in the past. Oh, I mean, definitely in the past. There would have been more value.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting, actually, is Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris are tied touchdown odds-wise for the top guy at minus 115. I think Vegas is feeling pretty comfortable that it's going to be a 50-50 split. Big Jim says, what do you think about Matt Ryan pass attempts? We talked about the passing yards earlier, like the over 252.5. We didn't talk about the pass attempts.
34.5.
34.5.
It's so hard to like. I mean, sometimes I feel more confident about giving out like a passing attempt over a completion or yardage, but for this game, they all feel like they are going to be very correlated in my eyes. But that's just my speculation.
Yeah, I think also a lot of it comes down to just big plays versus moving the chains. And I'm not really sure what to expect from that perspective. So I'm kind of inclined just to stay with the passing yards. Also, the other thing that's important is the Patriots do a good job of controlling the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be a little bit better if your opponent is good at that. That can be better for passing yards as opposed to in attempts. Because you can make up all those yards on few attempts in like a 2-minute drill type situation.
Yep. Well said.
All right. You want to do top picks for today, Ben? For this game.
I'm ready.
All right. Why don't you start us off?
I'm going to go with Matt Ryan over 252.5 passing yards. I think he has a big game back at home after the annihilation that they received from the Cowboys, and I like him to have a pretty good game tonight.
Nice. And I'm going to take a correlated play with your play. I'm going to take one of his receiving options. I'm going to take Mike Davis over 21.5 receiving yards out of the backfield. I think that with Patterson out, I think that Davis is gonna kind of resume his involvement in the passing game that he saw earlier this year. I'm expecting 5 targets to go his way, and I think that on those 5 targets, he can hit this over.
I like it. Thank you to our live studio audience.
Yeah, they're all over there. Over there.
Yeah, we don't worry. We pay them a good wage.
Feed them once a week.
I know what you're thinking.
Yeah, so that wraps up the stream for today. Be sure, if you have not done so already, to drop a follow on the stream. Again, thank you, A-Park, for that earlier, and then thank you also to Baudia and Whale Dick for dropping follows right before the stream.
Okay.
Be sure to check out our Discord if you are not already in there. Great place to discuss all sorts of sporting things, but especially who we like in the Rutgers DePaul game. That was brought up approximately 40 times today. We also talk about things that are not Rutgers DePaul basketball.
Like esports. Rutgers DePaul esports. I mean, maybe they have a team.
I'm sure they have.
Penn State has a team. I know that. Someone was like, "Let me know when esports is giving out scholarships like colleges," and I was like, "Penn State's been doing that for like 3 years, dude." And he's like, "Well," I'm like, "What are you arguing about?" I'm like, "I'm not on either side. I'm literally telling you what's happening." Anyways, that's my rant about esports. Yeah, we have a channel for everything.
Except for table tennis. I refuse to make a table tennis channel. Sorry, Larry.
Man.
But yeah, stream will be back probably on Saturday with some college basketball stuff. And for sure, we'll be back on Sunday. Sunday morning, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 9:30 a.m. for us here in the Mountain Time Zone, with a full run through of all of Sunday's NFL games. We've been doing well, so be sure to tune in for that. I don't know if Walter's here with the official lean record, but I know that just like every model score that has gone up on the stream, it's just sides and totals that the model prefers on the year. 159 and 139 is the record on all spreads and totals. So feeling good about that. And then Monday night, we will be back with a stream much like this one, just talking about the teams playing on Monday. I forget who it is. Who's playing on Monday?
The Giants and Bucks?
That's the one, yeah. Giants and Bucks.
Also, Nick, I have a quick question here.
Yeah.
Why did I lock in a same game parlay with under 20.5 receiving yards for Tajay Sharp?
I don't know. I saw you post that in the Discord, and I honestly, I thought that you were going to talk about that one on stream.
Did I just get like a extremely bad number? Like, why was that ever 20.5? Was that with Patterson expected to play?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there was at least a question of if Patterson was playing.
Oh, it's the same game parlay, so I'm not super upset about it, but I also am like, wait, wasn't that just 26.5 on stream?
Yeah, it was.
So, anyways, that's
The
one of
deal
my
is
legs.
Mike Davis receiving is 40. What kind of
kinda-
crazy book are you on?
No way. Is it receiving and rushing, or is it
No,
rushing?
yeah, his rushing yards is 40 and a half.
Yeah, can't wait receiving. They just trick you.
Yeah,
They switch them, and they're like, "Let's see what happens."
that's some shit right there.
And then if you place a big bet for over 13 rushing yards, they say, "Oh, we can't accept that."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I mean, if they switched them around, take the rushing yards over 21 and a half. But I doubt that they did that. German
Germany?
book. Yeah, I mean, you're in Georgia, right?
Bro.
So
No,
I guess
he's
you don't
in
have.
He's in Germany, bro.
So I mean, I don't think there's legal books in Georgia.
No.
All
All right,
though,
Nick,
yeah.
any last words?
Nope. No last words. I gotta go put in my bets.
Yeah, I hope
they
the
get
Falcons
votes.
don't get blown out, or I'm in trouble tonight. I have a little too much exposure on this being a close game, so oops.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go small on this one.
Sometimes you just gotta. I have a hunch. I think Falcons are going to come out fired up.
Yeah, I mean, I like it too.
Yeah, but you never know. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Tajay Sharp could play quarterback in some capacity and have some crazy trick pass. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? All righty, guys. Good luck tonight. We will catch you here on maybe Saturday, but Sunday for sure.
Yep. And as always, good luck.